And I couldn't take it. Okay, here was the boy from Bahrain treated like a third-rate citizen. Just imagine a pin drop silence in darshan grounds, pin drop silence. I still remember I yelled, "This is not real Swami." Let me take you back to 2005, 2004 in fact. And it was a time when, Swami had a fall in Vrindavan and his hand was fractured. And Swami wouldn't come out for darshan. And there were only 9 boys who were allowed to go into Vrindavan. Okay, so just imagine, all of us used to wait outside. We used to do bhajans every day. While 9 boys would go inside, have breakfast with Swami, would have lunch with Swami, would have dinner with Swami. Okay, and as they would come out, we would then sit with them and say, "Hey, what did Swami say today? What happened inside, etc., etc." So they were pretty much our broadcasters to what was going on inside. And so you can imagine, right? Just 9 boys, what an exclusive privilege that they would have had. And it was June was coming. So typically June 1st is the beginning of the academic year. And so we leave, all of us on 30th or 31st of May, we leave Vrindavan to go to Prashanti and start the new academic year. And so these 9 boys on 30th of May, they were sitting inside with Swami. Okay, and Swami said, "Hey, Hiroj already Muppai aindi, 30th aindi. Velandi, go, all of you go to Prashanti. That is, today is already 30th. Okay, your college starts day after tomorrow. Come on, all of you go." Now just imagine having had like 1.5 months with Swami exclusively, having meals with him, having like a chit chat with him every day. You suddenly have to come to reality to know that you're going to go back to hostel, to Prashanti, that hot place without Swami. And so all of them, they were shocked. They said, "No, Swami, we will come with you. Whenever you come to Prashanti, we will come along with you to Prashanti." And Swami said, No. Why? All other boys are going, no? What is so special about you? Okay, why should you alone come with me? All other boys have to go to college. And so it kind of, it struck. And this is a thing that would happen with Swami every time, okay? In Kodaikanal, in wherever you were, in Ooty or in, Hadshi or Delhi or wherever you were, Swami would kind of bring you back to reality. Hey, you know what? This is just a chance you have got. Don't take it for granted. Anyway, so all these boys, literally they were crying. "Swami, please, Swami, please, Swami." Okay, and Swami was like, "No, what? What do you want? College is starting. You're all students. You're supposed to go and study in college." And they, "Swami, how can we leave you? How can we leave these beautiful moments that we have had with you?" And Swami tells them a beautiful thing. And one of those brothers, he shared it with me. He said, everybody was literally, it was genuine tears of the pangs of separation. Okay, that we were going to leave Swami, we were going to go back to that college, right, who nobody was interested in anyway, right? And so Swami says, "See, each and every day that you have spent with Swami, is now there in your heart. And whenever in your life, going forward, whenever you are in a moment of, of that nadir of your life, when you go down in your life, open that heart of yours and relive these moments with Swami. These moments have the source of infinite energy." Swami said, these moments with Swami have the source of infinite energy. They can lift you from wherever you are. You see, memories with God, are not like other memories. And this is where once Swami asked, what is the difference between happiness and bliss? What is the difference between happiness and bliss? Do you know? When you have a beautiful breakfast like we had this morning, poha, one of my favorite food, or when you have a wonderful pizza, I'm sure pizza is a favorite of most of you here, right? Tell me, do you feel happy? Genuinely, let's not kid ourselves. Any favorite food, do you feel happy? Yes, right? We definitely feel happy. When you get a beautiful night's sleep, a deep sleep of 6-7 hours, do we feel happy in the morning? we do feel happy, of course. When we see or when we hear beautiful music, when we see a stunning scenery, like we will see, over here, the mountains and the rivers, does it not make us feel happy? Of course it makes us feel happy. So what is the difference between this and that? What is the difference between this happiness and the bliss that we get, let us say, after a deeply satisfying bhajan session? Right? So once Swami had asked this question, what is the difference between happiness and bliss? And the difference is this. This is what Swami explained. Swami said, a memory which at that moment gives you joy, that is happiness, having thought of it a little later, that actually gives you dissatisfaction, that is only happiness. For example, imagine you had a wonderful 5-course banquet 15 days back. Can you think of it today and gain the same amount of happiness? Imagine you went to a fantastic resort, let's say Switzerland, in the Swiss Alps. Okay, you were kind of, you were enjoying. Okay, let's say how many ever years back, last year or a couple of years ago. Today, when you think about that, does that give you the same amount of happiness that it gave you then? No, it does not. Right? So Swami was saying that is happiness. In fact, today when I think about that moment, it gives me a dissatisfaction. Oh, so nice that moment was, so good it was. Oh, that food was I miss it today. Right? Whereas, that memory, thinking of which, even today, it gives you the same amount of joy, if not more, that is bliss. And you see, our memories with Swami are like that. Even today, when we think about them, and believe me, for some of you, you will think, hey, brother, you are lucky because you had them. What about me? Don't worry. You have the right to pray for that kind of an experience. In fact, one Swami was saying, you don't have to pray for anything. A devotee has no right to pray for anything but one. What is that? Swami, I want an experience with you. Okay? Ask, pray for an experience and I shall give it to you. You have the right. A devotee has the right to pray. That is why Mirabai, right? What did she do? Darshan dijo aaj. You better give me today. Give me that darshan today. I want it. Right? That is the kind of prayer. And you know what? He has to fulfill it. He has to give it. The reason why I'm saying is, for those of us who have had that experience, that moment, right now, open your hearts and go back to that memory. And you will feel that charge automatically. You don't need to come to retreats. Of course, it's good. I'm not saying don't. Do come to retreats, but use this moment, to rekindle that connection with Swami. And that is not going to come from outside. Yes, at best, what the bhajans can do, what Nagar Sankirtan and all of these activities can do, is it can only give you that necessary energy for you to go within. Right? The charging must happen from inside our hearts. It is already there. All we need to do is to reach out to that place. So, I love to do that. I love to go back and I love to recall my first moment with Swami. And that is what I will do, only for the purpose to give you that energy to go back into your own hearts and reach out to Swami in your heart. So, I was one of those fortunately unfortunate ones. I'll tell you why. Why I say unfortunate is because I always complained to Swami, Swami, you did not have to do anything to get me. All you needed to do was to impress my parents. Buy two, get one free. It was like that. Like all he needed to do was to get my parents, and that's it. My mother simply, when I was born, my mother said, this is God. Okay, fine, this is God. So I said, Swami, you know what? You missed an opportunity to do something for me. Right? God has lost an opportunity to get a devotee. Like, put in some effort, God. Do something to get me. You can't just get a free devotee like that, right? Right? So this is how I look at myself. I'm like, there's no cancer cancelled in my life. There is no vibhuti manifesting somewhere. There's nothing, there's nothing like that which happened to my life to prove that. Right. So I was born in a devotee family. Right? When I was born, my mother said, this is God. But I still remember that my mother would always tell me, because what do we know whether he is God or not, right? Who are we to certify somebody as God? Certificate can only be given by somebody who's above that person, right? Your university can certify you to be a graduate. A primary school child cannot certify you to be a graduate, isn't it? So when we certify him to be God, just imagine what we are doing. So, we have taken upon the authority to certify him as God. How funny is that? Man certifies God to be God. So I don't believe in that at all. What we do usually, right? He should tick off some boxes. Omniscience, tick. Omnipresence, tick. Omniscient, hence proven he is God. No, I don't know. I don't understand that concept. Right? So my mother, in fact, had said, forget God. Make him the hero of your life. This is the only hero worth having in your life. Right? So even as I look at my own nephews who are small, and back then they would have Spider-Man and Superman and all the Marvel heroes. I had one marvelous hero, which was Swami. And for me, that was literally so. In the sense, I don't know, I must reveal to you a very controversial thing at this point. I used to have my own secret darshan sessions in the afternoon. You know what is that? I would come out as Swami. And when everybody else would go to the bed in the afternoon, I will step out of the interview room door. I will look at all my imaginary devotees. I will also do this. Okay, and I will hold the edge of my robe. Today, if I were to do that, highly controversial. You understand what I mean, right? So I used to give my own secret darshans. I must reveal this. Okay, I used to collect secret, imaginary letters from people. Okay, from far only I'll say, Chustanu Bangaru, kuchu. I used to literally imitate, because for me, more than Swami being God, right? For me, he was my superstar. Everything about Swami was so bewitching, right? The way he walked. It was like a lion. Oftentimes, especially back in those days when there was the sands of Prashanti Nilayam, right? It's so difficult to walk on sand, right? Try walking on a beach. How difficult it is to walk on sand. You will be like... But when Swami would walk, it would be like a glide. It was almost like Swami was on rollerblades. Right? Because he wouldn't walk. He didn't have that gait. He would simply glide over the sands. All my elder brothers over here will surely recollect those days. And that itself used to be... And those days, if you notice Bhagwan's robe, it would cover his feet. And so you couldn't see his feet. So you used to wonder what's happening below. How can a person walk like this? So I used to try and walk, without that gait. Like, how do you do it? Just from, that's the style of Swami, right? And then when he would come out and he will just look at everybody and then do this. Kya baat hai? Right? We used to always wonder, we used to ask our Balvikas teachers, I used to ask my mother, what is the meaning of this? And we had found several meanings. So many people, you see, one act of God, people are ready to put meanings to it. Like so many people had said, this means that he's actually creating many universes. But there was one meaning that kind of stuck with me. Okay, and it's a hilarious one. Whenever Swami came out and he stood and looked at all his devotees and did this, one of the persons had told me, in Hindi it sounds really good. He said, he would have said, "Kaise namune aate hain mere paas." That is, I'll translate. What kind of specimens come to me? Why did I even come down? What was I expecting? And typically after that, Swami would say something like, I don't know whether you have seen in videos, he'll give up little pout. Right? So he will sign off. It's almost like you have written off. So, okay, I'm not sure whom we are clapping for here, for ourselves. Oh yes, we are the written off lot. Kuch nahi ho sakta, nothing can be done with us. Okay, so think about what you're clapping for. Right, so that was one of the hilarious one, like, Swami would come out and look at, what did I think? This fellow. So everything about Swami used to be so beautiful. So I used to, look at him. And there was one thing which was extremely dear to me back in our Samiti in Bahrain, where my parents were. We had an extremely strict Samiti, no children were allowed to attend bhajans, the weekly bhajans. If you're a toddler, you have to sit inside. Because, while the bhajan is going on, you'll suddenly have alaps coming. Quah, somebody will start shouting, etc. So extreme discipline. So all the kids were asked to, they were locked inside and said, you do whatever you want, don't disturb this. Okay? So very strict. Except one child was allowed to attend bhajans, and that was me. Because I loved bhajans. So I would keep looking at what the tablist is doing, what the harmonium player is doing, how are the singers singing. And so people would come and, pat, oh, very disciplined boy, very good, very good. So I, even at that age, I had like stars on my, on my shoulders over here, most disciplined kid, right? So with that stars on my shoulders, I remember my first ever darshan, probably 84, 85. And so as always, we go to Prashanti. And I'm sure for those of you who remember those days, more than we having Swami's darshan, a darshan was termed as good or bad if Swami had our darshan. Correct? Means oftentimes, I'm sure we used to have these conversations. Hey, how was darshan? How was darshan means what? Just imagine, God is coming on earth, we are seeing him, and typically, hey, how was darshan? Darshan was okay, right? Okay means from far, means basically I saw Swami, but Swami didn't see me. Correct, no? A darshan would be really good if Swami got the opportunity of me touching his feet. I'm carefully using my words, right? If Swami spoke to me and he heard my voice, then it was a good darshan. Correct? So, all of us wanted that good darshan. But as long as we were there on that trip, every single day, our token number used to be 19, 21, 13, right? All of us wanted that coveted token number 1. More than Swami coming out for darshan, token number 1. Who cares if God comes out for darshan or not? Token number 1 is for my first prayer in the morning, right? If you offer all of you, those of you who remember those days. So all of us know, and I still, it was such an adventure in those days to go and look at those lines, okay, and wonder which is that lucky fellow, because the guy who sits in the first row, he's the one who puts his hand. So we'll look at, and all the people sitting in the first row, they will be like this, they will be at their peak devotion because everybody wants to pick up the token number 1. So we will look at there, we will scan them, and we will see who is that candidate who's most likely to pick up token number 1, and we will sit in his line. Anyway, so the penultimate day, we are sitting over there, and guess what, right? Lo and behold, the sir sitting in our line picks up, and typically that excitement, he'll be like shaking, and so everybody in that line is like, yes, we have done it. So finally we get the token number 1. And so we run in, and by now, we have already established our vantage points, right? We know that place where Swami comes every day. And we know those places where Swami may or may not come, right? I'm sure as you run inside, you're like spoiled for choice. When you run inside, where do I go? Where do I sit? Okay, so you go to the place where every day Swami has come over there. So now just imagine, this is the moment of my life. Like this is the moment of reckoning for me. Right, all of my life, however short or long it was by then, right, it is all about that moment because I'm going to see my superstar, right, the person, my hero is finally going to come and stand in front of me, right, so I'm going to have that moment with him. And so I'm waiting for that, I'm sitting, I'm closing my eyes and I'm wondering, when is that moment going to come? And after some time, I hear one, Sai Ram. So I open, and it is one of our brothers wearing the blue scarf, right? The Sevadal brothers, right? I often call them angels of our spiritual progress. They are responsible for our spiritual progress. They have been kept there so that we spiritually progress, right? So they test you in every single way. What Swami cannot also put test for you, That will be put by those. I'm sure that from the smile that you all have, all of you have experienced there. Correct? So, one of those. And you know, the beauty of our Sai fraternity is that we don't need any other language. We just need Sai Ram. Sai Ram conveys all emotions. Okay? From, hey, Sai Ram! Oh, Sai Ram! You know, a lot of exuberance. Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Right? One word is enough to convey all emotions. See how Swami has given us a language? By the way, this was not the language of heart, huh? That Swami was referring to. Anyway, so I got one of those Turner Sai Ram. And you know, I just gave him Sai Ram. And he said, so what I did not know is that children were not allowed to sit in first row. Okay, because just imagine Swami would come out for darshan and some random child will start running towards Swami. Right? Because, you know, and children are like that, right? You can't even catch them. They're like soap pieces. They just, you know, slip out. And so Swami would, for Swami, a devotee, you know, let me just take a slight detour here. Swami, in one of the discourses in Sai Shruti, you must have heard that, in Vrindavan, Trai Vrindavan, he says, boy ante behavior undali. Boy means he should have behavior. Man ante manners undali. So Swami is playing with that, right? Those boy ante behavior. That is, boy, if you want to call yourself a boy, means you should be well behaved. Man ante manners undali. If you want to consider man, you should have manners. Then Swami says, devotee ante devotion undali is what we will think. Swami says, na, discipline undali. For devotee, he is, you know, his hallmark is not the devotion that he has, but the discipline that he has. Okay? So for Swami, discipline is absolutely number one. Right? So the children were maximum allowed in the fourth row. Okay? So he was just doing his duty. The Sevadal sir comes and says, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. So I'm saying Sai Ram means where? So, see, at that moment, no, you suddenly get to know who is your relations and who is not. So I wanted to tell, my father was also there, right? So I wanted to tell my father, please tell him, I am not one of those kids. I am not one of those mischievous kids. I have got, did you see stars on my shoulder? The imaginary stars that I carried from Bahrain Samiti. Okay, the certificate of discipline. That's why I said, no, oh, very, very disciplined. I thought that was a certificate, I can use it in Prashanti. So, obviously not. And my father, no, he is now lost in his own contemplation on Swami. Suddenly, no, Kuta Mata, Kuta Pita, it's like that. Kuta Putra, who is this? I don't know this. My father also disowned me. Because he is still looking, you know, he is looking forward for his darshan. Why will he spoil his darshan for my darshan? Okay, I mean, these are all my annotations and my conditions, okay? I mean, footnotes. They're all footnotes. So, because I was not ready to get up, I was physically lifted. And there, in those days, you know, arches used to be there. At the back end of 1980s, arches used to be there. There used to be an arch right at the entrance of gents, which is meant for all the most mischievous kids. I was thrown in that arch. So I was physically lifted and thrown into that arch. And I couldn't take it. Okay, here was the boy from Bahrain, you know, with all my stars. Okay, and I'm being treated like a third-rate citizen. And so I start yelling. Just imagine a pin drop silence in darshan grounds, pin drop silence, 6:30 in the morning, and I start yelling over there. I still remember I yelled, this is not real Swami. This is not real Swami. Because I'm saying if he was real Swami, he should know the devotion in my heart. Okay? And for some strange reason, the reason which I still don't know, I said, these are not real Sevadals. That also I was shouting. So this is not real Swami. These are not real Sevadals. This is not real Swami. Okay? And lo and behold, both me and my father were thrown out of the darshan ground. What, you thought Swami came and suddenly, no. Both me and my father, miss, who is this? Whose kid is this? Sairam. My father, no, ayo, my kid only. So just imagine, both me and my father were asked to leave the darshan grounds, and we were now standing in the first row outside the darshan ground. We wanted the first row inside the darshan ground. And as usual, 6:45, Swami came, finished the darshans, and he went back in. And, tears streaming down. It's our last darshan, right? Tears streaming down my cheeks, and my dad is like, no, please don't cry here also. From here also they will throw us out. In those days, what used to happen, like most of you may know, we would typically, after Swami goes in for interviews, everybody would go to have breakfast, right? We'll go back to their rooms, they'll freshen up, and they'll come back in time for bhajans. So typically, Swami's darshan will go on for about 20 to 25 minutes, right? So 7:15 he will go in, and then probably come out by 8:45, 8:50 and go for bhajans. So everybody will come back in time for bhajans. That day, my father said, see, anyway, this is one of our last darshans. Let's give up breakfast. Okay, and we'll just go inside and sit, because we have not even, at least till then, we were getting 19th number, 13th number and all. This was the darshan we were having from outside. So at least let's go and sit inside. Okay, and just feel that while all other devotees have gone. So we go inside after everybody's out, we are in. That day, at around 8:15 itself, the interviews are over. There is nobody in the darshan grounds, means very few people, a smattering of people here and there, about 50, 60, 100 maybe. And Swami comes out, he's finished the interview. He's coming out of his interview room door, and I see him standing there, and from there he looks straight in my direction, where we were sitting. And from there he starts walking straight. Ramrod straight. Swami is walking and comes, and now just imagine, at that point, there is no token, there is no lines, there is nobody, there is no sevadal. It's just Swami and me. And exactly the darshan that I wanted to have. My superstar, right? My mega star, my hero is walking all the way up to me. Right? And he comes up to me, and there's nobody to push me back. There is nobody to tell me, hey, go and sit over there. Swami is right in front of my eyes. And he says, hey, kai ko chillata hai? Okay? This was around 8:15 in the morning. I did not know that sound travels so slowly. I had shouted at 6:30 in the morning. लेकिन ऊपर वाले के घर में देर है, अंधेर नहीं. Right? That was famous saying. That's okay. Don't worry. Basically, in the Lord's house, there may be delays but never denials. Right? Swami walks up and he's saying, hey, kai ko chillata hai? And for me, I don't have an answer, because I am just so mesmerized. Because this is exactly what I wanted. I'm looking at his large face and his large hair. Okay, and then he pats on my back. He says, a good boy. Okay, and then he says, take Pad Namaskar. And so I take Namaskar, and then Swami turns back and he walks back. That day, my hero walked into my life. Every single time I have any problems in my life, I simply relive this moment. In each one of our lives, Swami has walked in like this. Once, Swami was talking to the Vrindavan boys. Swami said, hey, Pillalu, okay, hey boys, listen. Either you allow me to enter into your heart, or I will break and enter into your heart. You have only two options. Either you allow me to enter into your heart, or I will break through and enter into your heart. But enter I will. Right? So we have now a choice whether we want to open the doors of our heart to let our Swami in. You see, the beauty of when I contemplate on this incident, if I would have actually sat that day in the first row, I probably wouldn't have had this story to tell or this experience to have, because all I wanted was a nearby darshan. But what I instead got was darshan, sparshan and sambhashan. That is, I had a chance to see him, I had a chance to touch him, and I also had a chance to listen to him, to talk to him. So many times, whatever we get in life, no, at that moment may not feel like, Swami, this is not what I had asked for. Okay, and Swami says, hang on, I have something better to give you. Right? It'll look like you're going away from Swami before you come back to Swami. Right? It may look like, hey, I'm taking the left turn when I'm actually supposed to take the right turn. Hang on, don't worry. Right? This road will bring you in a much scenic route back to me, and that will be a far better journey for you. So many times in our lives, we may feel that we are going a little away. Don't worry. Just hang tight. That's the other, that's the other lesson I get. See, from first row to being thrown out and to being brought back in only to get a beautiful experience. So the only reason why I'm sharing this experience is I'm sure each and every one of you have that experience in your life. Correct? Right now, contemplate on that. That is the way you will reach out. You see, when you go back to that moment, I can guarantee you that the energy that you will get from that experience is the same, if not more, today also. It would have happened in the 1980s, 70s, 60s, 50s, whenever. But it has the power to give you that energy. That is how we can recharge ourselves.